Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Man and Machine here with the PeakBot team and Mark from Harvested Financial. Gentlemen, how we doing this morning?
Doing good. It was a good
Morning.
weekend. We got a full week ahead of us, coming off of a short week, so happy to get into it.
A lot going on. I miss you guys, Mark. I think market was closed last Monday, so we had an old rerun of the show. But we're here, we're back live, and we're excited. We got a great show for you today. We're going to be discussing a ton of stuff. Of course, stocks in real life. We will give a brief update on our new PeakBot picks competition and where the PeakBot team's putting our money where our mouth is by fully taking these trades and automating them with PeakBot. And we're going to learn a little something with Mark and around option selling. And Ben, do you have trader trivia today or no?
No, but we've got stocks in real life. We've got learning a little something. And I think today we're going to continue the theme of how gamma complements delta and theta.
Excellent.
So that'll be a good segment.
Perfect. Well, let's get into it. So quickly, we don't need to go through normally we'll give a PeakBot picks update here. And we were 20 weeks into our last contest and we decided to step it up a little bit. Instead of paper trading, we're actually taking the trades now. Myself, Ben, and Thomas, who joins us on our Friday show. So we started last week, not a hot week for myself. I went 1 for 3. Ben and Thomas, I believe, both went 2 for 3. We have all the data. We've been sharing it on our socials. We're doing recaps of last week's picks, why we're choosing this week's picks. Of course, none of it's financial advice, but a lot of really good information there. Ben, I'm curious to know if there's anything else that you wanted to share from a PeakBot picks perspective with the new contest. Otherwise, we can kind of get rolling into the show here.
Yeah, no, I think the only thing to say is keep a lookout on our socials because we'll be posting brief recaps as to why we made certain picks and recap last week's positions. So I know that some of those got posted over the weekend. But yeah, we'll be posting those on our socials now. And I'm excited for these to be real picks. I mean, we had a really good win rate and we were going after some pretty nice premium. So happy to hopefully make money while we're doing this.
Yeah, I'll tell you. And Mark, we've talked about, my favorite stock to wheel, Walmart. I traded it through earnings last week because, for me, my wheel mindset's long-term. I'm going to get through these earnings reports 4 times a year. They had done well on their last 4. I got slammed, Mark. I got body slammed on Walmart last week. Took the shares, which I'm fine with, but took about a $400 loss, Walmart paid $101 in premium last week on a Tuesday to Friday contract with earnings on Thursday. So took that, but took a beating and more. There was other stuff, but
that's exactly what I was going to ask you. So you earned $1 in premium compared to like a typical Walmart weekly's like a quarter.
Yeah,
right?
It's about a quarter with like a $2 spread. And now this was a $5 spread. $100 was my sold strike. 95 was my bought put. I took it right at 95, pretty much. But yeah, hey, back on the horse. I chose Walmart again this week. I'm not going anywhere. Neither are they.
I'll mention it again. I mentioned it Friday. We're always preaching, don't trade through earnings. And then what do? Trade. But I know you're trying to justify it, but
Ben,
it still goes against everything we've ever said.
But if there was ever a time to trade through earnings, it's on your wheel stocks, right? Because you're playing long term. Anyway, I collected nice premium. I took a beating, but it's all right. We're gonna move on. We live and we learn. I'm
in Ben's camp. I'm a not earnings trader.
Yeah.
Look, I realize there are 2 camps. I know plenty of people that are successful trading earnings.
You know what? Truthfully, I was salivating on the watch list, showing over $100 in premium earned on Walmart, and I'm looking at the last 4 earnings. And that day, Thursday, the market opened horribly and did not help my case at all. But anyway, so what do we got some comments? I know Doug's here. Premium gets higher, but so does the risk. Absolutely. Ben's keeping that on screen. He just wants to really get this across to me today. So what else do we got, fellas? Where do we want to go?
Do we want to go into our picks for this week? Want to just recap those real quick, or talk about who won last week, actually? Because now,
all right. So, let's take a look. I'm going to share my screen. We'll take a look at my picks last week and picks heading into this week. I think Thomas still has to get his trades in there. I'm not exactly sure as to where he finished, but it's going to come down to you or him, Ben, and it's going to come down to premium because I believe you both went 2 for 3. So if we take a look here, sorry,
I think Thomas went 1 for 3.
Oh, did he? Okay, so you definitely took the W.
I think I won.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to get that posted. So this week 1 right here was me last week. 1 for 3. Okay. We can see I had 1 wheel selection, 2 trend spread selections. Walmart, I got beat up on. As I said, I actually collected 92. My apologies. Wasn't quite 100. Disney was my only winner on trend spread. It entered on Friday, took profit by last Wednesday. Okay. $17 winner there. And then Bank of America. By the way, I couldn't think of a more bullish American selection than these 3 right here. And it just let me down. I took a $40 loss on Bank of America. It was a put credit spread. I was trying to stay above 46. I was not able to do so. We were not able to do so. But you can see I collected 136 in premium, put out 950 in cash, and ended up a loser on the week. But look, just because it was bumpy this week doesn't mean we change anything. I'm going to be the boring guy in this contest. Ben and Thomas are going to be doing all these crazy things, crazy stuff. You're going to be not seeing me change up much, but you're going to notice I was assigned on Walmart. So this week I'll be selling a combo spread. I'll be entering those details when the trade enters today between 11 and 12. Disney again put credit spread in Iron Condor for Bank of America instead of a put credit spread. It was neutral on the trend spread watch list. So collected a little more in premium and trying to stay ahead of things here. So those are my picks. We can go on over Ben, and we're just starting this tab here. So Ben, why don't you walk through what we got here?
Cool. So we've got TXN, ticker TXN. That was my loss in the week. It was a big loss. I went with a $5 spread. That's Texas Instruments right there. You know, the T84, is it 84 calculators?
Yeah.
Haven't used one of those in such a long time. Now that we've got just Google Sheets everywhere. Google Sheets, by the way, is the world's best calculator. I don't care what anybody says.
I agree.
So TXN, I was bearish on all my plays. TXN, you can see I lost on that one. If we look at the chart, I couldn't have been more wrong on TXN. I mean, there was a strong downward trend. I think there was some sort of news that came out that just caused the stock to just shoot straight up. Earned $52 on the $5 spread. So that's over the 10% that I like to normally get when I'm trading these spreads. Unfortunately, it just wasn't enough. Took home the L. But on my other 2, DAL and PayPal, I was able to collect about $57 in premium. So softened the blow of the loss. I did go 2 for 3 in terms of wins. So I will win in the competition, but I'm a loser in the portfolio. However, not in the total portfolio. I was trading condors all through last week, and the condors actually net me positive for the week last week. So we'll be continuing to trade those condors. We'll be continuing to watch the economic events that are happening, and we'll go through an economic review at the end of this show. But 2 for 3 overall loss from these trades, but we'll pick it back up this week with Google, ALB, and silver.
Look at you playing silver, Ben. Look at you, so conservative here, man. That ain't that. If this was paper trading PeakBot picks, this ain't happening right here. So
no shot. If that silver would be like meta or something right there.
Yeah, we're honing in though. Like we're getting more realistic with how we would want to be trading these things because we're actually trading them. So love this. More to come on this contest and the organization of it all and the data and everything. So stay tuned. But yeah, we were so confident going into this week based on our selections in the paper trading contest, and we got bit a little bit, but we're back on the horse. Excellent. Okay, so that was a lot of info. Why don't we get into stocks in real life?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Ben, pull up the info, and we got a good one today.
Yeah, we've got Delta Airlines. Delta Airlines has been a highly traded PeakBot or highly automated PeakBot ticker for quite a while now. And they've been making their way into the news lately, not for the best reasons. I know, Mark, you found an interesting article about their in-flight drink menu, which we can certainly talk about.
That's my news filter over here. That's how I hear about Delta in the news.
By the way, real quick on TXN, Doug was using a TRS-80 computer when he was in high school.
Don't date yourself, Doug. I don't know when that might be, but doesn't sound like yesterday.
I couldn't tell you what a TRS-80 computer was.
Nope. Mark, any idea?
I think so.
Okay, so we're getting closer. We're getting warmer. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I think we were 83s. We were 82s and 83s.
Okay.
TI 82s and 3s in my vintage.
Got it. Man, that's how we used to track things. Now it's just iPhone 13, 14, 15, 16, whatever, you know? All right, let's talk. Oh, we looked it up. Oh, yeah. Okay, Doug. This is Doug's our ICP right here. Doug loves PeakBot. All right.
Right.
Love that. So, Delta, keep climbing. Like Ben mentioned, highly traded stock, always popular on the PeakBot watch lists across strategies. I actually haven't been keeping up with this stock as of late. I'll pull up a chart for us in a second. But before we dive into the stock and anything else, I need to hear about this article and the drink menu situation. If we were serious about it, and if so, I will shut up and let's get into it.
Well, I think when Ben was the one that suggested it for other reasons, and I happened to come across an article, I think it was in the drinks business or some other spirits wine magazine, and apparently Delta is upgrading their in-flight beverage program. So they recently partnered with Tatinier Champagne to now offer Tatinier in their Delta One product. So I know they've been making a number of moves with that Delta One product. I mean, that seems to be the main area that I think a lot of the carriers are competing on, right? Is improving the soft product for their business and premier customers. Right? It's not business anymore. It's Delta One and other premier customers. So Tatinier is great champagne. If you're flying up front, that's not a bad way to do it.
So when you sent that through, that it makes you think, right? Their attention to detail. They know who their customer is. They know who's paying them the most money. Take care of them. And I would not have known how to pronounce that. Can you say it one more time? Tatinier?
Tatinier, yeah.
Oh, I nailed it.
It's a soft G. I think you can spot someone a mile away if they use the hard G there. It's like shot.
Yeah, gotcha. So what do we think about the stock? I've traded DAL before, a lot on trend spread. Right now, I think it closed the week right at $60. Pre-market we're up about 60.46 here, but we can see it looks like there's some pretty good support right around this $60 price point. Not looking so hot on this last bar here from last week. So I would say they're relatively bearish as of right now, at least for the last month here. As we zoom out, we start to see bullish activity. But what are you guys' thoughts on Delta? Ben, Mark, how do we feel about it?
So one of the key things that I wanted to talk about was, unfortunately, there have been a lot of airplane accidents recently. Don't know why it's all happening at this time, but there was a Delta flight that actually, the picture looks bad, but I think it landed normally, and then the wings broke off and then it flipped over. I'm not too sure exactly the full story. Should have found out the full story, but I wanted to take a look at how Delta stock was impacted after this incident, and this incident happened about a week ago. So Dillon, I'm going to pull your screen back up.
Yeah.
So can you mark about a week ago?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's look at the 17th here. This is it. And it looks like right around the 20th, it starts to drop pretty significantly. This could have been it here on the 13th, potentially. Not exactly sure, but some big events here, it seems.
Yeah. And the compensation, so Delta actually offered compensation to people on that flight. They offered each passenger $30,000 after that happened.
It's just risky to go out and offer that, right? Because now you're trying to put a value on the event, not necessarily someone's life, I guess, right? Nobody died, right, Ben?
I don't think so. It was
I
a
don't think
smaller
anybody
plane, as you saw.
Yep,
Yeah.
all 80 people survived.
Okay, good. See, we needed that. So yeah, I mean, what do you guys think? If you were offered it,
If you were offered to get into a plane crash for $30,000,
knowing you're going to survive, though, if you knew you're going to survive, no, let's not even play that game. If you were on the, and we're not going to talk too much about this, but if you were offered the 30 grand, would you take it after the incident? I mean, of course, right?
my guess is they're trying to avoid a larger settlement.
Yeah. I'm
If
curious to know
A
how many-
times B times C is less than the cost of a recall, we don't issue one.
Yeah.
It's exactly that they're trying to buy off the bigger lawsuit.
Yep.
So, I was actually looking at it on the trend spread watch list here. Now, this is data from Friday, but if you were to enter on Delta on Friday, you likely saw something similar to this. It's actually bullish. The trend is lagging maybe just a little bit, but that's based off the 67-day EMA. We can see there's a nice expected value lower on the pop, good ROI for a $4 spread. It's paying $53 in premium. Right now, again, this data is going to update in about 45 minutes when market opens. But right now, trying to stay above 58. And again, it's trading right at 60 right now. But it looks to be, I don't know. I wonder what the technicals are on this. Let's see here. For the week, in the middle. Hard to see. We don't often see a perfect balance like that. But anyway, what else on Delta? You guys ever fly Delta? I have a story on Delta.
Let's hear it.
So when I was in college, I played college baseball, believe it or not, very low level at a school you've never heard of. So it doesn't really matter. But we went to Florida for spring training. And because college baseball season starts in February for some reason. So we always had to start the season down there. And we flew Delta one time. And for freshmen, they got funny haircuts. Seniors cut the freshmen's hair for the Florida trip, and they were ridiculous. And the Delta line we were on, obviously, all the flight crew and all the passengers are loving these. Couldn't wear hats, so they're loving these ridiculous haircuts. Mid-flight, captain comes over maybe co-captain comes over the loudspeaker and says, "Can we please have all freshmen come to the front of the airline? We're going to have a talent show." Runway down the whole plane. And based on applause, the captain or whatever, co-captain, handed out like $300 to freshmen with the best haircuts. So was it a turbulent flight? Absolutely. Do I fly Delta anymore? Of course not. But I shouldn't say of course not. I'll fly whatever. I haven't been on one in a while. But that's my great Delta experience. They took care of
So were
us.
you one of the freshmen with a haircut?
No, I was one of this. I was actually the barber that cut almost all of the haircuts. So, I felt like a proud dad when the guy with the word haircut got first place when I cut it. But anyway,
Doug flies Delta.
Doug flies. That's their hub, right? Atlanta. So that makes sense. I think one of their big hubs.
Well, yeah, being from the other side of the river, you guys are all on United, Old Continental, and Newark, whereas this side of the river, LaGuardia is one of their big hubs too, and they just redid that whole place. So after years of construction, the new Delta setup in LaGuardia is quite nice.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm a big fan. Even before that, I was a fan of Delta. They're of the top three of the majors. They're my pick.
Are they? So do you fly Delta? You a Delta guy?
I will bias Delta even if it's slightly higher price.
I said, of course not Delta. I have no idea. I guess I'm a United guy.
We don't have much of a choice in North Jersey. If you're flying out of Newark, it's either United or Spirit, or now the Ghost of Spirit, whatever that is.
Yeah, that's really all that's available. So, all right. So, hey, look, I have to tell you though, and Mark, I hold your opinion very highly. If Mark's a Delta guy, I think Mark's got good taste. I think I need to be, treating Delta a bit nicer. How about the stock? Mark,
I've got some details on the stock if you want to pull up my screen share here.
Hit us.
So this is what I look at, and looking at the stock price that you guys had, the stock price here on this chart is the blue line. And, you were talking about using trend spread for that. And in analyzing a ticker for trend spread, one of the things I consistently look at, and you've seen me talk about this before, is what is the, historical VRP, the vol risk premium, how much are options overpriced relative to how much they realize. And there are some dips below in the negative, but for the most part, is the stock, whether it's been kind of sitting in this channel here, or even, relatively recently as we've topped off, in the last couple months, there's decent VRP in this, call it an average of, this line is 10. So we're seeing an average of like 4.5%, 5%. So as the stock kind of ebbs and flows in its trend, there's pretty consistent VRP in the name. That obviously can change if you see a move, if you see a crash that drops the stock, but, fairly consistently, there's been healthy vol risk premium, and vol itself hasn't moved around that much. So vol is this green line that, we bounce between the 30s and 40 levels. So some ebb and flow in vol. We don't see crazy spikes or drops. It's not as important with an ultra short-term strategy, but, you're going to get a fairly consistent reading on that, a fairly well-priced vol. Delta actually trades more than I expected it to. I think its ADV over the last 2 years is roughly 35 or 40,000. So, that consistently puts it in the top like 150, 125 names. So good pricing, relatively stable risk premium. You got to watch for some of the direction, but, overall, this is a pretty liquid and tradable stock, I would say.
Yeah, I can't believe. Go ahead, Ben. Sorry, were you saying something?
No.
Okay. So when I look at this, and thank you so much for that, Mark, I'm going to pull this up. I got to know your guys' thoughts on this. It looks like, at least from an analyst perspective, green pastures ahead for Delta Airlines. Where we're at currently at $60. We have 25 analysts here giving stock ratings, 19 strong buy, 5 buy, 1 sell. This guy stubbed his toe whenever he put this in, I guess. And look at the projections here. I mean, looks like, we can see almost up to $100. I'm curious to know if the all-time on this chart, what was the highest the stock's ever traded? I guess we're looking at it. Yeah. Up to set, looks like maybe we touched 70 here for just a second, but yeah, wow. What do you guys think? Ben, any other comments? How often are you trading Delta? It comes in.
It comes in. I'm not usually trading it too often. If I'm going to trade an airline, I usually trade United. But sometimes Delta will come across and it'll offer better premium for whatever reason, and I'll go with that. But yeah, I don't know. If it comes across and it matches our core 4 criteria, I'll definitely take a look at it.
So I remember we did cover, I forget which airline it was, might have been Southwest or whatever. We did another airline for stocks in real life. And I think at that time we talked about the industry performance against, the S&P and other stocks. I believe Delta is the highest from a market cap perspective of all airlines here. So we're just taking a look. I'm going to zoom in here for a second. We got Delta market cap at $38.7 billion. United kind of right behind them at 31. Ryanair, I'm not familiar with that at all. Southwest, here it is. American Airlines, always on. And then anything else down here is really just kind of.
I would not have pegged Ryanair as double the size of American.
I've never even heard of it, and maybe that's silly.
They're like an EasyJet competitor in Europe. They're based out of Ireland, I believe.
Okay, this is good. Then you weren't expecting them to be this high, were you? No. Yeah. Okay.
I just pulled up United's vol, and they're very similar profile to Delta, but instead of being in that 30 to 40 range, they're in like that 40 to 50 range. So despite being almost as big market cap wise, their vol definitely trades at, a moderate premium to Delta and the rest of the market.
Wow. So always popular on the trend spread watch list, these airlines. The 3 or 4 big ones are always there. Any other thoughts on Delta before we move on here, guys?
I'm all set.
All right. Well, hopefully, we can get another runway show on another flight in my future. That was a lot of fun.
Maybe accompanied by some Tatanya.
Yeah.
That would be quite the runway show.
Nice.
That's the kind of flight experience I'm looking for.
Yeah. Wow. Luxurious. Okay. Fantastic. Well, fellas, keep an eye. I always keep when we do these shows, I always go and find it. When you see you buy a car and you never see the car and then you buy it and then you can see it everywhere. That's what happens to me on these shows. We cover these stocks and then they pop out on the watch list and start to speak to me. So I might be jumping in here. But all right, guys, let's learn a little something.
We've got Gamma, Delta, Theta today. So I know over the past couple of weeks, we had Matt Cashman from the OCC on here and you guys had a great session. I think the last time we were live, which was not last week, but the week before, we had a follow-up conversation, I think about Delta and Theta, or Vega, sorry. Now we want to talk a little bit more about Gamma. So Mark, I'll hand it off to you.
Yeah, so we've been talking a lot about how all these Greeks interact and, the big 5 Greeks, Delta, Gamma, Theta, Vega, Rho, and Gamma sort of gets lumped in with all these other ones, but I think it's important to note off the bat that Gamma is actually a second derivative of the options pricing model. So all the other Greeks are sensitivities at the first degree, how much that options price changes relative to, a change in implied volatility or a change in interest rate or a passing of time or a movement in stock price. Whereas Gamma is actually how one of those first derivatives, Delta, changes for every move in the underlying. So the specific definition of Delta, let's start out as how much that options price changes for every dollar move in the underlying. If stock moves $1 and that options price moves 50 cents, we would say that has a 50 delta or 0.5 delta. Gamma, on the other hand, being a second derivative, measures how much delta changes as that asset price moves. So this is where we really get into that convexity aspect of options, that we're not just talking about a linear line. We're not just talking about prices moving, 1-to-1 or at some ratio relative to the underlying. How your delta changes and how much your options price changes will change as that underlying moves. So if you want to think about it in the physics analogy of velocity versus acceleration, delta is your velocity and gamma is your acceleration. So how much, or deceleration, right? If you're, it can work both ways. So how much your delta is going to move as that underlying moves. And I think an intuitive way to understand that is if you take an at the money option that's 50 delta and we're struck, $60 in Delta Airlines right now. If Delta all of a sudden jumps to $80, or even if it grinds all the way up to $80, that's 60 strike option will be 50 deltas now. We move up to 61, that'll go up by about 50 cents. But as we keep getting further and further away from that strike, that delta is actually going to increase closer to 1. It's going to be completely in the money. It's no longer going to be a 50 delta option. It's going to be a 100 delta option, or no longer 0.5. It's going to be 1. So that change in that delta as it either gets further in the money or further out of the money is gamma that's happening there. It's the change in how your option sensitivity is going to change. And it's important to recognize that the options that are the closest to the money are going to be the most Greek rich. That's where there's going to be the most gamma. So you're going to see the most sensitivity of that options price when it's right around, or sensitivity in the delta and therefore the options price when it's right around the money. So gamma really kind of encapsulates all that movement and how your book changes as stock moves. So super important. We don't talk about all the second order Greeks. I think, some of them are immaterial, gamma is one that you should definitely be focused on, especially with short-term strategies, because very quickly things can change when there's very little time on the clock.
Mm-hmm. So, Mark, what are like the warning signs somebody should look out for? Like, let's say somebody is trading the trend spread strategy, or even more the iron condor strategy, since those are 1 DTE. Like, if they're pulling up their trader dashboard on Tradier and they're looking through all of the options Greeks and they want to take a look at gamma as well, what are some like warning signs for those people to look out for?
That's a great question. So, obviously if you're trading an iron condor, some of your pain points are going to be right when you hit those barriers, those short barriers, as expiration comes closer and closer. And so, you can see it just visually when you say, I'm short the 605 put in SPY. We're trading at 605.50. I really hope it doesn't go below 605. That feeling, you're talking about a high gamma level right there. That's short out. You're going to be short a lot of gamma because you really don't want that to move. Your options prices are going to change significantly if we move, and that gamma is going to accelerate, into the close. So you can look at it from a gamma perspective. You can look at it as a strike versus spot perspective. So seeing, like, if you see your gamma reading being really high in your, whatever dashboard you might use, that's going to indicate that you're probably very close to the strike, meaning if stock tips one way or the other, you could see, a pretty big flip in your, delta and ultimately, P&L.
Gotcha. Very good.
When gamma is high, sorry, Ben. So when gamma is high, position can start to change quickly, potentially, right? So, okay.
Exactly. And it's the flip side of theta, right? That theta is going to be very rich. You're going to have a lot of theta, premium over parity, extrinsic value in that short option that's right near the money, because it's either going to be worth something and you're going to get a sign because you're short and it goes through, or it's going to be worth nothing. So that gamma is that, numerical expression of very high sensitivity to a change in stock price.
Yeah. So Dillon, when we were doing the end of day lotto, SPX lottos, gamma was through the roof on those at the money contracts that we were looking at that time. That's probably, and Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, that's probably the time where gamma is like the most impactful, right?
Yep.
Like on
you're gonna have the highest gamma at 359 right at spot, where your strike's right at spot, because you tick up a penny and the option's worthless, you tick down a penny and it's 100 delta.
Yep. So interesting, and potentially a bot coming out in the near future based on something around gamma. I think we've got a fun name that we're going to call that bot, but we've been working with Mark on, not to give too much of a teaser away, but we've been working with Mark on a gamma bot, and it will be available, I'd say, sometime in March. So stay tuned for that.
That's a great teaser. And I think it's really important from like a portfolio perspective to kind of balance both your longs and short gamma, right? Like a traditional premium collection strategy is mostly going to be short gamma. You mostly don't want stocks to move, but at the end of the day, stocks do move, and, hedging that gamma risk and kind of being exposed to the momentum, the trend, whatever you want to express that as, balancing both longs and shorts in gamma, I think is a really important part of building, a well-balanced portfolio.
Yeah, I love the accelerator. That really kind of helps, put it in perspective, right? Delta being kind of the money gauge, money meter, gamma as the accelerator, theta as the clock. It's those things help me digest this a lot better. And if you're not getting it even from there, hey, sign up for a professionally managed portfolio. Mark knows all this stuff. The bots do all this stuff. PeakBot.com/harvested. What do we got, Doug, coming in here? Gamma comes into play. Go ahead, sorry.
Gamma comes into play on time spreads too. The near-term option can move faster than the long-term one and leave you with a loss. Yeah, that's a great point, and I think that's particularly around now when people are talking about doing time spreads for earning strategies. That's like a very common trade right now in the market, that people want to maybe sell the front month earnings and buy something back on the other side. And kind of one of the complexities of that is both that's a long vol trade in some sense, even though you're selling the earnings high premium, but you're also getting short a decent amount of gamma because exactly like Doug highlights, that near-term option can move a lot faster. And with less time on the clock, the gamma is going to be a lot more impactful there, and those prices are going to swing a lot more, significantly, leaving you potentially with a loss, even if you're quote unquote long a time spread in this example. So that's an important, that again highlights that time aspect of gamma. The gamma is most significant at those approaching expiration and short-term options. You don't really talk about gamma with longer-term options. You talk much more about the vega risk of those options. And that's something to, again, reference that awesome conversation that we had with Matt, that thinking about in time, how much are you playing a gamma play on the near term versus how much are you playing a vol and vega play as those options get longer and longer duration. So again, really important, where your strategy is struck in time is going to impact which Greeks are most important to pay attention to.
How do we not have like a Greek life shirt? Greek life PeakBot shirt, merch, something. I feel like Mark needs to be.
There's a lot of clever apparel we could make.
Yeah, it's just we'd rather provide professionally managed portfolios and fully automated trading bots as opposed to cool merchandise. But we'll get there.
We will get there. We need a cult following first.
Yeah. That's what we're building. Well, Doug wants that shirt. I know Doug wants that shirt. All right. Well, I interrupted you before.
I was going to say, while we are talking strategy here, and I just wanted to throw in a few plugs here. First plug, Dillon, you mentioned it. If you do want to get signed up, if you do think that you like the idea of trading bots, but you're not sure how to choose the bots or how to choose the stocks that the bots will automate, well, that's why Mark is here. Mark and Harvested Financial will help you out. You can go to peakbot.com/harvested and get started. So Mark, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself, and then I want to tease a couple of the bots coming.
Yeah, so I'm a financial advisor that trades options, and I think one of the best ways to do that is to have automated bots that are out there doing the legwork, doing the hard work of getting in and out of trades, and then at a higher level, building a portfolio allocation around that, selecting the right tickers, finding whether it's a good time to be, trading Delta on trend spread, or it's a good time to be trading United Airlines on trend spread, making those allocations decisions. But then also, as you're about to tease a little bit more, Ben, building a well-balanced portfolio that covers a couple different strategies, that has both longs and shorts, that overall builds an opportunity capture structure that is going to be robust across market environments. So it's allocating across bots, it's picking the names within those bots, and developing a system that will extract, risk premiums from the options market.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So we are. We've been launched with Harvested for some time now. We've got a bunch of people on the wait list. We are letting people on slowly. We want to make sure we get things right. And one of the things we want to make sure we get right, as Mark mentioned, is we've got a balance of bots in the portfolio. So I did want to mention there will be an email. If you are on the PeakBot email list, there will be an email going out later today asking for beta test volunteers for our Iron Fly bot. So the Iron Fly bot, to give a little bit of detail, it's a 0 DTE strategy on SPX, and the trade can open up a position anytime between 2:30 and 3 o'clock in the afternoon every day. So it's a 90-minute trade, a 60-minute trade. It could stop out before then, but the idea is we want to let that Iron Fly go through to expiration. It creates a fly, which is $5 above where the money is, and creates $30 wide wings. All of the details will be in this email going out later today. This bot will be exclusively available with either Harvested Financial or a PeakBot Pro subscription. So all of the details around that will be in the email going out today. If you want to test out our Ironfly bot, email us, say I'm in ! To experience@peakbot.com. It's going to be a really good strategy. The back tests look really great on it. The email coming out later will have the back tested data in it, and you could actually download the spreadsheet, see all of the trades that the bot would have taken, going all the way back to when 0 DTE contracts started back in on May 16th, 2022. So you can see all of the results since then. So I'm really excited for this. And then additionally, we are cooking up some additional bots that will be available shortly. I'm hoping next week we can announce another beta test group starting. And then the week after that, another beta test group starting. So we're cooking up some bots over here. I'm excited about it. I know Mark's excited about it. Dillon's excited. We're all excited.
We're all excited.
So make sure you join in on the fun and keep an eye out for those emails, because we will need beta test help. And there will be some rewards for you for helping us out.
You know, first off, if you don't put the exclamation point in the email, you're not going to be beta tester. I just want to be very clear. Need the exclamation point. Don't take me so seriously. However, you know, you guys have been in the lab here, right? We've been back testing, forward testing, all these strategies. We do need a cool name for the lab. If the lab is not cool enough, which maybe it is, but it's not unique enough to PeakBot and Harvested. PB Lab, you know, I don't know. We got to get us all mixed in here. We got to feel good about it.
Okay.
I'm pumped for this. Again, like one thing I don't think we mentioned enough, if you are interested in you know, a fully hands-off experience here, we do this with Mark here. Mark can manage accounts as low as $10,000, which is a huge gap to be filled here for financial advisors, right? It's hard to get one to sneeze in your direction with anything less than 6 figures, right? So big deal here that we're working on. And again, that's peakbot.com/harvested if you're interested. So I have one other thing that I'm not looking for financial advice. I'm more so just having a discussion. You know, the whole keep calm and condor on. It has not been the shirt I'm wearing as of late. I still have some scar tissue, but I guess what I'm asking is, before we wrap, I know we got to get out of here. How do we feel about the week ahead, generally speaking? And I'm asking because I just threw on my first condor in a while on the Qs. I'm doing it today. I'm going to see how it goes. But what do we got going on?
All right. So this is the economic calendar for this week. Not too much going on today. Looking ahead to tomorrow. Some home data, manufacturing data, some Fed speeches throughout the day. We've got Fed speech 11:45, 1 o'clock, and then we had one, I think it was pre-market. All right, so that must be in another country that early in the morning. So some Fed speeches tomorrow, not Powell, not Jay Powell, so not as concerned. Moving into Wednesday, we've got a lot of information, but nothing super impactful. Thursday is where we start to get into some more potentially impactful data. We've got some GDP data on Thursday. We've got durable goods orders month over month, and just a lot going on. Some more Fed speeches on Thursday. Lots of Fed speeches. Fed balance sheet. I see this pop up every now and then. I've never really paid attention to it. I don't know if you guys have. Anything with the Fed, I'm usually like trying to learn as much as I can about. But then we've got PCE data on Friday, pre-market, but moving into after-market open. Not much going on Friday. So for me personally, I might turn the condors off or smart exit on Wednesday, so I don't get in for Thursday. And then probably to play it safe, I'll probably just sit out the rest of the week for me personally. But the condors have been good for me. Last week I made made about $500 on the condors, and I was trading just one contract on SPY, one contract on Qs, one contract on XSP, and I won 4 out of the 5 days, and the fifth day that was a loss. It was a partial loss. So like I said, the condors saved my portfolio last week, and I'm really liking how we're turning it off for certain market events now.
Oh yeah.
I think that's a huge help to the strategy.
Yeah, I'm doing it as we speak, and maybe I should just share screen and show. I'm managing 3 different of my trading accounts here, and I'm just going in and I'm doing SPY Iron Condor on one, I'm doing Q's Iron Condor on another, and I'm doing IWM on the other one here. So it's that simple. I got a Condor here added on SPY. That's going to be trading for me today at noon Eastern is the entry time. And here it is, live and ready to rock. It's that simple, people. And it can be even simpler if you let Mark do it. All right. Mark, any thoughts on this week? Any thoughts on your Condor approach that you'd like to share or no? Just generally speaking.
I agree with Doug that it is a little bit higher IV right now in the market. That said, we've seen some chops, so I'm a little bit risk off with my condors, especially seeing this activity. But that's the tough thing about condors is my opinions don't really mean anything, and that the market's going to do what it's going to do, and I think a big part of that strategy is staying risk managed and exposed there, if that's the risk premium you're targeting. So I think reasonable people can differ about what's going to happen this week, and we shall see.
I think that's one of the most well said things about the stock market ever. And it's like, that's the tough part about the stock market. It doesn't care. It does not care what you think individually.
Nope.
Just could care less. So excellent. Well, I think that kind of wraps a great show for us here today. Of course, Stocks in Real Life with Delta. We talked about PeakBot picks. We learned about all the options. Greek. We need a Greek life shirt. And some economics and more. So we will be live again on Friday for the Automation Station with myself, Ben, and Thomas for some more PeakBot picks, etc. But thank you so much for tuning in today. We really appreciate it and hope you have a fantastic week. And as always, we'll see you at the peak. Take care, everybody.
You know how the financial world goes. Here comes the buzzkill. Please make sure to take some time to read this boring disclaimer. We will owe you one.